So I want to go over the Algo IQ program, getting ready to kick off. If you have any questions, info@gridalgo.com. So the Algo IQ program will start with an initial indicator. That is the primary indicator, the Algo IQ primary indicator. So I'll put P for primary. The second indicator that will be part of the program is a very unique set of adaptive price bands. Basically, I'm going to be calling them super bands. I found a whole new way, a whole new computational, or the programming and computational style of running channel, a price channel, uh, but much more responsive than anything I built in the past. This is one of the breakthroughs I've had. So the way that it's programmed and the style of coding is completely different, and the math that I'm using totally completely different. So it's kind of a jump in capability over any bands I've ever built before. It'd be completely different. Then the third thing that I'm building that I wanted to build for some time, and I finally decided to do it and incorporate it into the Algo IQ program. And, you know, it looks like a little bit like what would be a linear regression channel, but it's not. So I'll just put LRC. So there'll be an indicator underlying running, and in the settings for the indicator, you can adjust the anchor points of what would traditionally be, like a dual channel linear regression, that each bar, it tilts up or tilts down every bar close, where you see it on your chart and it keeps tilting down when you have downtrends or up when you have uptrends. But I'm doing something different. I'm not using a linear regression channel. I have an underlying indicator that's more responsive, and I will have anchor points that are adjustable. Where's the forward side anchor point and where's the aft side anchor point? And then in the settings, that will dictate how sensitive, or I shouldn't say sensitive, how responsive the tilt function is to price as it changes directions. And then also you'll be able to set width, and at least an initial width, and then it'll expand and contract from there. The key is, though, is you don't see any indicator doing any plotting. The only thing you'll ever see on your chart is every 1 bar, every 2 bars. I don't think we'll have default 1 and 2. We'll have the lowest default setting is 3. So every 3 bars, every 5 bars, 7. We'll probably go into even numbers. That you can basically say every 3 bars, whatever that hybrid indicator that functions somewhat like a linear regression channel, wherever it was at the bar close, plot that line positioning as a drawing on my chart. Then if I have in the settings, let's say I have it set to every 5 bars, well, 5 bars later, it'll plot its next position. As basically it'll draw instantly at the bar close, boom, 2 sets of lines, where the tilt is at that moment of time. So instead of like a typical linear regression channel, it's moving all over your screen, you just get every so many bars, whatever you select, lines that get plotted on your chart, and then every 5 bars, every 3 bars, and so on, you get lines that are drawn. Now there's a couple ways you can use that. You can use that as breakout points to entertain trades when you see market tilting in one direction, going sideways and starting to lift a bit, and you're getting price to lift out the upside of the last drawn set of lines. The indicator will draw the lines. Another way you can use it is tilt angles. So when there's a certain amount of tilt angle, then basically you can just throw liquidity into the trade and just go for it. So if I have tilt angles that are low and then I suddenly have a tilt angle that's qualified, so let's say it's drawing the next set of lines after 3 more bars went by, Well, once the tilt angle, in this case, an angle of ascension or upward, would get to a point where it would trigger, you can have it start coloring the bands a separate color. So instead of maybe neutral like yellow or gray or something, it'll start being like greens. So every 3 bars, or every 3 bars completed, or 5 bars, or whatever you have set in your setting, you get a new style. And as long as that color holds, you know you're in a strong enough uptrend that you can throw in and work alongside liquidity into the move. And when you lose the tilt angle, every 5th bar, you're getting a new set of lines that are getting drawn, and it goes away. Obviously, if you're still in long positions, you want to bail. But then at some point, 5 bars goes by, the tilt angle is shallowing. Another 5 bars goes by, it draws another set of lines. Eventually you get downward tilt where price might be in this area, and you can work in short trade, throw in some liquidity, and any trade outside the upper band would be your area to have a stop or a fixed stop when you get these type of signals off a bracket trade. So when you click in, hey, sell, market order sell, then automatically it throws out, stops and targets that are already tweaked to the instrument and time frame you're on. So you're going to get a chart that every 5 bars, every 3 bars, every 7, it'll be odd numbers. You'll get a new set of lines, parallel lines drawn that'll be a width. So if the market's in a very linear move, the drawn lines will be closer together. And if the market's indifferent and choppy, the lines will be wide apart. Exact same behaviors as a typical linear regression channel, except linear regression channel, the framework of them, they lag price too much. You can never get them dialed in. So first of all, I needed to have a base indicator that I know that can be responsive to price. And then I needed something so every 3 bars, 5 bars, 7 bars, when the indicator plots a new drawing that's fixed and permanent on your chart while you're running it in live mode, I need to have anchor points, that are selected. So if I have an anchor point that's very close to the front of the lines, then it's going to tilt up and down a lot quicker and follow price more so. If I say, hey, put my anchor point 5 bars back from the very front side and put my aft, so that'd be the front anchor or the fore anchor point. If I put my aft anchor point 10 bars back, it'll be tilting very sensitive. If I put it 15 bars, 20 bars back, 20 bars back, then it'll be more, the lines that are getting drawn have a more smooth kind of flow to them. The nice thing is you'll always have trend lines on your chart. So if price is suddenly, let's clean this up a bit, it's kind of a mess. Let's say price ran up and then your indicator, let's say you have it set on 5 bars, there's 5 bars that does a drawing, then another 5 bars later, it does a drawing, then another 5 bars later does. Well, at some point when price is broken below the bottom side of your lower channel, when you've lost that upward ascension angle, that would be typical of you trading long side only, then you can get in and enter a short trade. Basically, it's like a trend line break, but it's a channel break and a stop never more than the high side of the channel. So it's almost like having automated hybrid trend line break tool, but a little bit more accurate, or I should say a lot more accurate, because the underlying base indicator is flowing with price and it has 2 parallel lines always attached to it that you don't see, and then it uses those every, whatever your setting is, every 5 bar, every 7 bar, as the point that every 5th bar, when you get a bar close, if you have the setting on 5, boom, it draws the lines. 5 bars later, draws the lines again. 5 bars later. So there's certain scenarios you'll see where the indicator gets narrow on price and the tilt angle is down, so it changes the color of the lines drawn, so you know you're in very significant downside momentum. I have been wanting to build this for a long time, and I finally kind of got all the concept together, figured out what I wanted to do for the underlying indicator. And of the two recent breakthroughs I had, I needed a breakthrough in one of the indicators to have the right best of the best indicator underneath driving where are these parallel lines going to be anchored to, uh, with the ability in the settings to adjust where is the front anchor point in the back, and how often do you want it to draw the picture of where, if you had parallel lines that were seen real time bar by bar, um, this is like showing you, a periodic image, a representation of where the parallel channel would be flowing. The good thing about this is linear regression channel moves, so it's kind of hard to use it to have cut and dry areas where you have breakdowns or breakups. Having lines on the chart that you can visually see, if you have a cluster of lines that are drawn on your chart, let's say in this area price, and then you're getting price to peek its head and get closes above it, and you have a bunch of downward clustered lines that are drawn that are getting more and more flat to up, and then price peaks its head up, you have a breakout trade. So you can use it for breakout trades. You can also use it for high momentum trend following. So when the band or when the lines are being drawn not in a neutral color but in a directional color, like, hey, the slope angle is now at a certain amount of slope and the gap between the lines are narrowing, I can throw liquidity into that kind of move with a tight stop, and as long as it keeps plotting the lines of that same, let's say, a greenish color for up, I can stay long until price starts breaking below or outside where I'm getting closes. Then I know I need to either bail or thin down my position. I think it'll be a brilliant, very visually efficient tool for those that are into breakout or high momentum. Breakout trading, high momentum trend following trading, or anybody that's into using trend lines. I think it'll be one of the most sophisticated and very intuitive type of tools to use, so you can have a good visual representation of what's the slope angle of price with a memory of what's taken place, but always having lines at the moment, every 3 bars, every 5 bars, a new set of lines. So you always have a reference point. Is price breaking outside of that area where I want to short it, or is price breaking above my lines that are being automated drawn to go long? So it'll have two uses: letting me know when I'm in high slope, upward slope conditions, high downward slope conditions, and when I'm breaking out of price that maybe, sideways or just starting to lift, to get into, some momentum out of a building or developing trend, or price starting to trade down out of a period, of where the market basically reversed and is starting to pick up momentum to the downside. So those will be the three indicators that are part of the Algo IQ. Now I'll launch with the original Algo IQ. I'll have a video about it later. Going to go over some trade action from today and probably some from yesterday. That baby is really strong. And then we're going to have super bands, and we're going to have this new indicator, which I haven't figured out a name for it yet, but I'm sure I will in the next day or two. So all these projects, well, the Algo IQ is already built, but the super bands are wrapping up, and then this is now in build. So anyhow, there you have it. I'm also going to have a more sophisticated format for engaging with the Algo IQ traders beyond something like a Discord. I'll have more info on that. So all kinds of good stuff in works, and info at gridalgo.com for any questions.